Welcome, everyone, to Robert Half Talent Talk, where we spotlight the latest trends in business and workforce transformation and the resulting impacts on companies and job seekers alike. Today's topic, it's a hot one, no doubt, remote work. And joining us to share their perspectives are Robert Half's Senior Vice President of Global Future of Work, Tricia Plovey, Diane Domeyer, Managing Director of Managed Technology Solutions, and Billy Milliere, District Director. Tricia, we'll start with you, and I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers at you right here from the jump. Research that was revealed in our latest update to the 2022 salary guide revealed that 53% of professionals have the flexibility to work remotely, and of those that don't, 40% want it. But despite that demand, only 38% of employers really see facilitating that sort of work environment as a top priority. So let me ask you, why the disconnect, and what's that mean if I'm an employer, and what's that mean if I'm a candidate or an employee?
Sure. So there is a great divide right now between employees and what they want and employers and what they want as well. So for the employer side, I think the important thing to work on or to focus on is, how the work gets done instead of where and when the work gets done. Employers that can offer some flexibility can attract a greater pool of qualified talent to join their organization. They can look nationally versus just in their local geography, and that can help strengthen the organization as a whole. The other thing from the employer side is it may limit the amount of people, if they're on site, for instance, it may limit the amount of applicants that they get to apply for jobs that they post. It may also transcend into their internal employees as well, and maybe they experience turnover because some of their internal employee pool want some flexibility and they want to be able to work hybrid or remotely fully. The other piece of that is the whole pay situation as well. So they may have to pay employees more to be on site or beef up their benefits packages and their perks that they offer to attract employees to come on site. Now, from an employee standpoint, I think it's really important to recognize what's important to you. If it's that collaboration and being shoulder to shoulder with your colleagues and being able to communicate and socialize in person, then you should probably consider going on site. However, if flexibility is what it really is driving you and you want the autonomy to be able to work either hybrid or remotely, it's important to recognize that as you begin your job search so you know exactly, what organizations you want to look at, what types of roles that you're interested in.
Billy, I want to go to you now. Give us the flip side of that. Employers that are open to remote work and have established, or at least are on their way to establishing that mindset, are telling us that they're seeing clear benefits for that approach. What are those benefits? And in your travels, what are you seeing and hearing from businesses and hiring managers?
There are a number. I actually could characterize it as a laundry list, but I'll hit on just a few. There's some information you'll find in our 2022 salary survey that indicates, based on the survey, that 54% of hiring managers were able to identify more skilled talent by making sure that they opened up the talent pool. 48% indicated that they were able to attract talent that met all their skills required for the job, which we know is really important in this candidate type market. I think a few other things we can think about is the hiring process. 34% indicated that the process was shorter. That's really important because there's another survey that we conducted that indicated that a significant number of applicants will disengage or quote unquote ghost an interview process if there's a poor or slow process. And so being able to extend the breadth and scope of candidates that you're looking to identify to shorten that process virtually obviously is helpful. A few other things I would mention: compensation flexibility, retention boost. And one other thing I would note, I think people don't think about as much, is the ability to to increase your diversity, equity, and inclusion experience by allowing the connectivity across the country and even some cases across the globe to talent that you may be onboarding remotely. So there are a number of benefits. I could go on and on, but in the interest of time today, I'll stop at those.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Diane, I think everyone knows, or a lot of people should know, you can't just flip the switch and just implement a remote workforce or a successful one. when employers and companies are adapting their tactics in recruiting or management tactics to support a remote workforce, what should they keep in mind?
Well, I would highlight three things, Ben. First of all, and this has already been touched on, but first of all, it's really important to broaden the geography of where you are sourcing talent. And we've already touched on the benefits of doing that, but it is far more than simply checking a box on a job placement or a job posting that says you're open to remote work. Broadening your geography to recruit and source for top talent requires you to research what markets might be a talent source for your organization based on what you're looking for, and how are you marketing your organization as an employer of choice in that market, right? Being deliberate of where you're sourcing the talent, and then what are you doing from a demand generation standpoint to make sure that you're positioned as an employer in that market. And that will change for a lot of organizations. What we are seeing is employers that are benefiting in this marketplace are those that are taking a one size doesn't fit all approach. So that would bring me to my second point, which is make sure that you are communicating the benefits of your organization and your culture, whether that's hybrid, remote, or on-site, but tailoring that benefit to what you've heard from the job seeker is most important to them, right? Communicating the benefits of what is offered for that unique individual. And the third thing, then shifting beyond recruiting and retention strategies to management, the third emphasis that I would say is make sure your management culture focuses on outcome versus effort. We've heard many organizations that have struggled in this environment as they've moved back on site, where while they may be offering some flexibility, they are viewed to be tracking the amount of hours that people are working or swiping badges in and out of the building. And it is being perceived as a micromanagement environment when in essence, they are being provided some flexibility. So if the focus is on outcome and what is expected of an individual's performance versus effort or time worked, you will fare well in the long run.
Let's talk about the flip side of that coin. Let's talk about the employee's perspective or the job seeker's perspective. What sort of mindset should those job seekers out there adopt when considering a remote career path? Because we are seeing career paths opening up that are fully remote. Trisha, I'll start with you again. What is that mindset job seekers should take?
Yes, it's a mindset of discipline. So it takes a lot of self-discipline, I think, to work remotely or even hybrid to be able to balance, the distractions that happen at home, just like distractions happen in the office. And I think the high communication, so a high touch communication point with your manager is important to update them on progress that you're making towards goals. And making sure that you do have crystal clear goals that you're looking to achieve, week after week. And maybe those are even broken down into day type compartments for you as well.
Billy, what do you think about that?
I would say you've got to be intentional about a couple of things. One, connecting and collaborating. Two, about how you show up every day. We can see the tops of us today, not the bottoms. And so not so concerned about the slippers, but you want to make sure that you're representing yourself in a way that you plan to be perceived every day, carrying out your responsibilities of the jobs. A few other things, problem solver, being able to troubleshoot on your own, because there may be occasions where you just have to do that. You may not have access to what you need immediately. And I think that that's a helpful competency and attribute. Being agile and flexible, and then ensuring, this goes back to being intentional about the way you show up every day. Make sure that you're internal and externally customer and client facing. And so I think a number of those things really are helpful and should be at the top of mind for remote employees.
For a second, you had me worried I'd have to give up my fuzzy bunny slippers. I appreciate that. Diane, round it out. What's it going to take for employees to be successful if they want a remote career?
Well, we clearly know that remote work isn't for everyone, but if you do think that it is for you, there's one thing that you absolutely should bear in mind, in my opinion, and that is a level of intentional visibility. Not only how you show up every day, but specifically, how are you going to give visibility to the work that you're doing, to the specific objectives that you have accomplished, the outcomes of your work, because there is something very true in proximity bias or visibility bias. And so you do need to be intentional about how you're giving visibility to the work that you're doing in a professional way if you want to achieve your long-term career objectives. So thinking through how are you going to bring intentional visibility to the work that you do on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis.
Lots to think about. All right, let's move to our lightning round. With everything moving so quickly for both companies and job seekers and so much to consider when it comes to remote work, what's the one word you would use, each of you would use to characterize either the job market or the hiring environment ahead? Diane, I'll start with you. What's your word?
Transformative. I think we've seen that happen in particular over the last couple of years as it relates to how employers attract and retain talent, but also what employees are looking for. And I would expect that transformation is not over. Many of these trends were kind of in the work long before the last 2 years. They were just accelerated. And we anticipate that that will absolutely continue in terms of looking differently about the world of work, how we work, when we work, where we work, and how we assemble teams to get the work done.
Billy, you got a word for us?
My word would be innovative. I think that employers will continue to need to be innovative about how they attract and retain talent, and frankly, provide alternative work options for their talent as well. We had a bit of what I would call a black swan moment that fell upon us, which was the global health pandemic. But I think some of the things employers have done to make sure they met the challenge, were able to pivot and set up remote capabilities for employees, will certainly help. Should something like that occur in the future or not, to help just make sure you're meeting the demands in the future of work as we move ahead. So I think that's something that we'll continue to see in the, not just the near future, but the long-term future.
All right, we've heard transformative, we've heard innovative. Tricia, how would you round that out?
Sure, highly competitive. So your ability to be able to transform, I'll use Diane's word, transform your organization as a highly attractive employer, whether that be through robust, benefits or work-life balance, will become extremely important. The ability to differentiate your company will become extremely important.
Certainly a lot of food for thought for both companies and job seekers. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to our experts for bringing the future of work into clearer focus. And thank you for watching. You can explore more of these trends in our 2022 salary guide and on our blog at roberthalf.com. Until next time, thanks for watching.